Well, the important thing for people to remember about wildfires is that it's different than the natural hazard events that happen in the sense that they're preventable and we can actually reduce the impacts when we're proactive. Wildfires take place on every island, both the leeward and the windward sides, and especially when it's in a drought drought area. So, as you know, for the next couple months, we will be experiencing a drought. But there's lots that we can do collectively and individually to protect ourselves, our families, our communities. And now is really the time to do that, to take action and to be proactive. Firefighting really is our last line of defense. Everything we do ahead of time, if we can all play our part, that's the best we can do. Many wildfires are actually started by accident, and so you don't want to be the cause. Be sure to not pull over on dry grass. Wait until there's paved or gravel pull out. And don't use equipment that sparks, especially on a dry day or in a windy area. Fires can only travel where there's fuel, so be sure to keep the grass cut short and the trees trimmed high. Clean the leaf piles in and around your yard, your home, your gutters. So anywhere that wind can blow leaves, it can blow embers. 95% of the wildfires are human caused, and a big portion of those are accidental, although we do have some intentional. It's what we try to focus on the ways that we can prevent those accidental fires. Along with making and practicing a family emergency plan, and be sure to include your neighbors and your loved ones who can't help in that way. We also encourage folks to get involved in their community's efforts to reduce their wildfire hazards around their neighborhoods. So our Firewise program is a statewide program, and it mobilizes communities to take action. More information about that can be found at hawaiiwildfire.org. And we at HWMO, we're the program coordinator for the state program. So we help communities get started in that process if they want to become recognized by NFPA. And it requires a hazard assessment where folks meet at a common destination and we walk around the community and we identify some of the hazards and some of the actions they can take. And then they create sort of a subcommittee or a task force that wants to focus on fire prevention in their neighborhoods. And they're required to document the action that they take, and then they submit their application to NFPA for Firewise recognition. We have 14 and in the process of recognizing our 15th community. We actually had Kohala by the Sea, which is just down the road here. They were recently recognized by NFPA for 15 years of Firewise service.
These fires get away from us right away when it's windy. It gets away from us. So one thing that has been mentioned too is that this entire area, including Waikoloa Village where you guys drove through, we have a lot of ordnance, unexploded ordnance in this area, including this side of the mountain. So that's always a hazard. If the fire gets away from us, usually the preferred method is get dozers around it instead of sending firefighters too off into the bush. And in my career, I've had stuff go off close by, but we haven't had any injuries from it yet. So even though it's been cleared, the fire chief said he doesn't want to give us authorization to go in there because the ordnance disposal cleanup people will never tell us that it's 100% cleaned up because they can't guarantee that. So fires like this happen, we're scattered in all kinds of different directions. And the other thing too, the cattle grazing, it's a challenge, like Cody was saying, getting the cattle down here, but it's also a challenge working with the ranchers, because they have to time it. They're chasing weather patterns. Rains, you got to get down here and graze it, but they also have to get all their cattle gathered back up for branding and weaning. So they have to move them back up to where their corrals and stuff are. So it's trying to make all of those things jive is a challenge. All of a sudden, instead of chasing wildfire, we're worried about protecting residences and homes and stuff like that don't have enough defensible space. So one fire company is trying to protect Kauai Village. In the meantime, we've learned a lot from PTA, and DOFA, watching them run incidents, and they really do a much better job, and that's what we're trying to improve on that.
I'll give you your number.
We need to keep the flame alive on organizations like, you know, Kohala Watershed Partners and all these homeowners associations that go and get the word out for Firewise, Defensible Space, because those are the people that help us help them. You know, if they can, you know, do all this stuff, then we get a fire, we can worry about the fire and not have to worry about protecting everybody's structures, because we don't have the manpower or resources to go door to door and pre-treat, or, you know, a lot of times we'll, and thankfully it doesn't happen that often, but we've had so many close calls that, you know, you have to risk writing off a structure and say, look, we can't worry about that right now. We got to try and, you know, do what we can, that, you know, pick our battles basically. But anything else that I should have covered?
I just want to make an observation. I think one of the biggest challenges of fighting fire in these areas is water.
Yeah.
And when that fire started, I happened to be stuck in traffic on Kauai Road because of the fire. And they basically, by the big water tank, down below that, they had a frog pond set up on the road, and they had 2 helicopters dipping into that frog pond. But there aren't any hydrants on that section of road. So they were having to take their tanker truck up to this neighborhood here to fill the tanker truck with water from the hydrant, drive it down the hill to where the frog pond was to fill the frog pond. And that's just the reality of fighting fire in this kind of wildland area where you don't have as many water resources as you might have in some other areas.